When evaluating fiscal policy, you need to look at how it depends on the size of the multiplier. If the multiplier effect is large, then changes in government spending will have a bigger effect on overall demand. Fiscal policy is most effective in a deep recession where monetary policy is insufficient to boost demand. Some advantages of fiscal policy can include direct spending to specific purposes. This means that unlike monetary policy tools, which are general in nature, a government can direct spending towards specific projects, sectors or regions to stimulate the economy where it is perceived to be needed most. Another advantage may be that fiscal policy can use taxation to discourage negative externalities. Taxing polluters or those that can overuse limited resources can help remove the negative effects they cause while generating government revenue. The last advantage of fiscal policy is short-term lag. The effects of fiscal policy tools can be seen much quicker than the effects of monetary tools. However, fiscal policy does have its disadvantages. One of its disadvantages can be that it can create budget deficits. A government budget deficit is when it spends more money annually than it takes in. If spending is high and taxes are low for too long, such a deficit can continue to widen to dangerous levels. Another disadvantage may be tax incentives, and spending may be spent on imports. The effect of fiscal stimulus is muted when the money put into the economy through tax savings or government spending is spent on imports, sending the money abroad instead of keeping it in the local economy. Another disadvantage of fiscal policy is that it may be politically motivated. This means that raising taxes is unpopular and can be politically dangerous to implement.
The advantages of monetary policy. Evidence shows that in normal conditions, interest rates have a direct and powerful effect on household spending, which suggests that UK consumers are highly interest rate elastic. The Bank of England's Monetary Policy Committee is independent from government and can make decisions free from political interference. While the full effect of interest changes may not be experienced for up to a year, there is often an immediate effect on confidence. The time lag on output is estimated to be around 1 year, and on the price level around 2 years. Flexibility. The main policy instrument of monetary policy is the rate of interest, and this offers considerable flexibility. The rate of interest may be changed at short notice and regular intervals, and may have significant impact on short-term economic activity. This contrasts with discretionary fiscal policy, which cannot be adjusted at regular intervals. In particular, this has been found to be relatively effective at controlling inflation. The disadvantages of monetary policy. Raising interest rates can negatively affect on investment spending and the housing market and the exchange rate, and hence the balance of payments. There is also a problem of the dual economy. Are high rates set for the booming service sector or low rates for the depressed manufacturing and export sector? Money supply is difficult to control in practice, so controlling interest rates is preferable. Time lags. It may take considerable time, perhaps up to 18 months, for monetary policy measures to influence aggregate demand. For example, a change in interest rate is unlikely to immediately influence consumption and investment plans. Conflict between policies. A rise in the rate of interest, for example, designed to reduce inflation, may lead to increased unemployment. Discriminatory impact. A rise in the interest rates may increase business costs, as it increases the costs of borrowing, and increase the exchange rate, as it increases the demand for the currency, thus making exports more expensive. Such a rise may therefore particularly discriminate against manufacturing. There is also limited scope for change in reality. In practice, if one country's interest rates gets too much out of line with those of the other countries, there will be considerable inflows or outflows of funds. In addition, countries which are part of a monetary union, e.g. the European Monetary Union, have their interest rates dictated to them by the European Central Bank and are not free to alter their interest rates independently.
One of the biggest advantages of supply-side policies is that they may be targeted at particular sections of the economy in order to raise efficiency. Successful application for the economy as a whole will shift the long-run aggregate supply to the right, increasing the level of real output and lowering the price level. However, there may also be disadvantages, for example in reducing the power of trade unions. Trade unions act as a counterbalance to unequal power relations. They can reduce firms' costs by acting as a channel for communication between the employers and employees, it is likely to be cheaper for the firm to negotiate with one organisation rather than individual employees. Privatisation is not always the best solution. An increase in privatisation could lead to greater class conflict, greater exploitation of workers, and a more unequal and unfair society in general. There are also many arguments against reducing unemployment benefits. For example, it would lower the spending power of such recipients and therefore reduce aggregate demand, output, and employment. It would make a group of people who are likely to be amongst the poorest in society even poorer, while at the same time making the rich richer through tax cuts. This policy presumes that all unemployment is of a voluntary nature. In practice, people may be involuntarily unemployed due to a lack of demand in the economy or as a result of scarce unemployment opportunities in their geographical area. It should also not be reduced to a level that makes workers reluctant to leave their jobs and search for better ones. A disadvantage of progressive taxation is that if marginal tax rates are too high, then incentives are reduced for individuals to supply additional effort or labour, which could have an effect on aggregate supply.